Go, go, go. Transitioning into year 13 from year 12. So do one of you two want to give us a bit of an intro as to what we're looking at in this session?
Yeah, I'm going to give an intro. What we want to do with you guys is to make the most of the next few weeks, and by a few weeks I mean about 12 of them. There are 53 weeks until your exams. 53 weeks, and in 53 weeks time you will be in the same position that the students who just came to our last live are in, and the advice that you would be giving to the year below you is the advice that they're giving to you. And it's basically, don't waste from now until September. You've got 53 weeks. A quarter of that time is between now and when you go back to school in September. So what we want to do is to make sure that we are working with you to get that A level kicked off, to get it started, to get you already facing in the direction that's going to mean that in 52 weeks time you are not in the same position as lots of the students who've only just come to TT. We asked them, when did your teachers finish teaching the spec? And they said a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, not very long ago, haven't had enough time to revise. So we want to work with you to make sure that this time next year you are in a perfect position for your exams, and to make sure that we don't waste that quarter of the time that we've got coming up now. So next 6 weeks and then the summer, we want to work with you to get going.
I've got a question in the chat. Pull up chat, set your settings to everyone so we can do that as a group forum. We will all take any general questions at the end as well. How are you feeling in terms of your confidence? Score out of 10, 10 being, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to smash my A-levels this time next year, and 0 being, oh, I'm a bit out of my depth, I have no idea what's going on. Give us a confidence score off the top of your head for how you're feeling about your exams right now. And while some of you are doing that, as people are still trickling in, as is the way, we're only 2 minutes past the start time. I also have another question, but I'm going to do one question at a time. I'm not going to just do loads and loads of questions. Otherwise, we won't be able to tell one from the other.
Yeah, in terms of your confidence, guys, I think another way of thinking about it is like, how would you rate yourself for this year as to where you're at now, like in terms of like knowledge of the content, how you got, maybe use how you got on in your mock exams at the end of the year as a bit of a kind of litmus test for that. So yeah, please do say hello in the chat. This is an interactive session. We want to get some questions for you guys. We want to try and coach you through. So please do let us know how you're feeling right now. Just anything at all. Put something in the chat and say hello. And that way we can get it started. Because obviously we're doing all the talking, but we need you guys to be giving us some answers and to ask some questions as well.
I've just been out in Zambia training some teachers and doing some sessions with some university students over there. And like one of the core principles of making learning effective is active. We can't, like Rich, Ronnie and I have all the knowledge in our heads, but we can't take it out and just download it into your brain. We can do everything we possibly can to help you on that journey, but you have to be active in the process. Otherwise it's basically it's a impossible task. So basically pull up chat, just say hello. That's all you have to do. It's very easy.
Are there any math students in here?
Yeah, what subjects are you doing? That will be an interesting one. I mean, this is obviously a generic session in that it's the sort of the mindset and the approach. There's so many things which are the way that you attack your A-levels over the next 12 months, essentially, has a huge impact on your grade. You could be getting straight E's this year and get straight A's next year. You could be getting straight A's this year and get straight E's next year if you don't play your cards right. So making sure that we maximize our chances here. The other one question I really wanted to get in, I'd love everyone to answer this if possible, is like, how committed are you, again, just a score out of 10, to getting into your first choice university course? How committed are you? Are you like, well, don't really care, I'll give it a 5? Are you like, I'm going to move heaven and earth, I'm going to get there, come hook or by crook? So give me a score as to how committed you are for getting into that first course grade. Some students, that is like everything. That's all they care about. Some students, it really doesn't matter, that I want to go to university. Some of you may not want to go to university. So we've got 7s and 8s so far.
Perfect.
That's
That is
interesting
exactly the
comparison.
sort of student we were looking
And he's
for to
10.
work with over the next few
Nice.
weeks. Definitely.
It's interesting
A
the
few more of you in
disparity
here. I'm going to
between
start calling
scores.
out names. Thank you, Calton, Hani, and Zainab. Luca too. Amelia, what do you think? Emily, Jasmine, Moshi. Oh, I know Moshi. Moshi's a
Question was, how committed are you to getting the grades that you need to get into your first choice uni? Is it
Moshi's
a
been
really big deal
TT
for you?
advocate for a long time. I could vouch for Moshi's 10 out of 10 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just saying, I think it's interesting the disparity between the scores of the two questions there. We're going to a couple of answers for how do you feel, how would you rate your kind of the position you're in, how confident you are right now, and there was a 4 and a 5 out of 10 there.
And everyone else just went under the table.
Yeah. So I don't really want to say. But then we've got, anything between 7 and 10 for everybody that's like how committed they are. So
yeah,
the
the whole point is we want to close that gap.
How you're feeling, and that's what we want to do and try and close that out. We want double 10s, right? So we want you to be confident in your ability. You want that to match your commitment. Okay, your confidence and commitment have got to match up, and I think that's what we're here to do, is to facilitate that for you guys. Try and get you ahead of the game. And as Ronnie said, we've got 53 weeks until your exam, which is a mental statistic. I understand that you're probably doing mocks right now or just done mocks, but it's important to think about that. And we were talking before, and one analogy that came out was like, okay, everyone's going to be running a marathon. You're going to hang around for 15 minutes at the start line, the gun goes off. It's like, you know what, it's fine. I'll start in 15 minutes time. Everything will be all right. And I'll make sure, I'm sure I'll catch up. But I think the reality is really that most people will be sat on that start line, not doing anything over the summer. And what you can be doing is getting a 15-minute head start. So that's what we're going to try and do for you guys. And we're going to facilitate that we're going to tell you exactly what we're putting on for you guys. And how we can absolutely help you kind of get that massive head start ready for next year.
So one of the things, the reason I was asking if anyone in here is doing maths is because maths is very different from biology. Chemistry is kind of in the middle, but in maths, the amount of content is actually not that big, but the amount of skill and practice that you need is huge. So one of the things that I've been talking to a few of my AS students about is doing with them, instead of over the next 6 weeks doing, some gentle getting started with A-level, a little bit of whatever you're doing with your school, that kind of do chapter 1 of the book, that kind of thing. What I'm going to be doing with some students is we're going to do the whole A-level in 6 weeks. And so I just wanted to gauge whether or not that's something you guys who are doing maths, yes or no, is that something you'd be interested in doing? It's not many hours per week because I can squish it all down and condense it, and then you'll be able to, like, you'll have done it. You'll literally have done the whole lot before you go back to college, which will mean that next year you will have a really gentle just consolidation, going back over everything, practice papers, Okay, great. The only reason I was just checking why you were all here is to know whether or not that's something I should just do with my students that have asked for it, or whether that's something I should open up. But it sounds like it's something I should open up to everyone. So that sounds good. Obviously, you can't cover all of the biology and chemistry quite so quickly, but you will be working with Rich and Rich in a way that suits their subjects, and I will be working with you in a way that suits maths and sets you up for getting really, really high grades in maths.
Cool. One thing I definitely want to go through in this session is the how to get your target grade PDF, to just give it that zoomed out view of year 12, which we've mostly completed at this point, and then going through year 13 and just highlighting sort of the key points along that journey. So I don't know if that now is a good time to do that. We're going to do a little bit of a subject deep dive as well in terms of the fundamentals that's really important to get right for next year.
Yeah,
but maybe now's a good time for me to just jump into that.
Yeah, I think it shows what we're trying to get across very clearly, I think.
Yeah, although I just noticed as I made a little edit to it, there's a little, I wouldn't say mistake, but there is a little room for improvement on this, but we'll see if anyone can spot it. Okay, so this is a document I put together with some students over the last couple of years. Moshi, I know you've seen this, but this is a slight tweak edit version of that. I've made it landscape is one of the tweaks. So how to get your target grade? Well, there's a few sort of core principles. Who's familiar with the TT revision method? Give me a yes or a no in terms of, are you familiar with the TT revision method? This is our sort of proprietary revising technique that we suggest that all students do, and we're not going to go into mega detail right now. We'll show you where you can find that information for later, but it is
They've still got mocks coming up, by the way. If you said worried about mocks, you can start using TT revision method now. All the details are on the page where the button was that you clicked to join this.
Yeah, so on the TT Lives page, there is all the information on TT revision method. It's essentially using the papers as the structure and the backbone for our revision. It's a really, really solid technique that's basically guaranteed to improve your grades. Okay, so we want to start doing papers as soon as possible. The biggest mistake students make is leaving papers until they feel ready. Well, I'll let you in a secret. You don't feel ready now. You won't feel ready this time next year with your exams next week. Though, if you ask those year 13s in the session we did earlier, are you ready?
No.
Does that mean that you should have put off papers until you feel ready? Definitely not. You want to be working on papers as soon as possible. The exams test you on how good you are at doing the exam, not on how much stuff you know. It's a common misconception. If I know more stuff, I get better grades. There's a broad correlation there, but what they actually test you on is how good you are at doing the exam. And there's a lot more to the exams than just factual recall. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So the only way to get better at this is by practicing the exams themselves. Now, you can see here, we've got year 12. We started in September. We've got some color coding going on here. We've got some learning new content in pale yellow. We've got sort of topic revision, so revising some past content in this sort of darker yellow. And then we've got orange for the TT revision method. So as we go through the year, we're learning new topics as we go through. It's really nice, and don't worry if you haven't done this, to do a bit of revision of past topics as you go. Well, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. If you, let's say, we'll just call this topic 1. What you study in September of year 12 is topic 1. If you then do topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, topic 5, and then you move on to the A-level, topic 6, topic 7, topic 8, and you don't go back to topic 1 ever again until you get to revision time, how well are you going to remember it? How well will you remember topic 1 if you studied it nearly 2 years ago? I'm going to just let that question hang. You can just answer that one in the chat. Not at all, probably. Yeah.
Have any of your teachers, I'll make it an easy one, a yes or no. Have your teachers this year been going over the stuff they've already taught you?
Oh, great. Okay. Well, that's
excellent. That's a really good sign, because that means that next year they might go through oh dear, honey. But if they've been doing that, then that means what they might do next year is that they will help you not to forget things as you go along. Whereas if your teacher has not been there, or your teacher has just moved on to the new topic, moved on to the new topic, moved on to the new topic, then they're likely to also do that next year, which means that we need to step in with you and make sure that we're working with you so that all that stuff isn't forgotten and is actually improved, because that's a really, really important part of doing well and being confident this time next year.
At TT, our primary focus is always on the exams, on the ones that count, the ones at the end of next year. Yes, there's milestones and mocks and things to learn along the way, but everything we do is targeted at getting you better grades at the end of June.
At the end.
And so if that means we have to do some sort of mixing up our past revision, and that means we do past papers early, that's what we're going to do. And teachers, their main motivation throughout the most of this is just teaching you this, the learning the new content stuff. They're just like chewing through as much of the content, trying to finish it as soon as they can. Lots of students don't even finish until April or May. So let's just come back to this. So we've got learning new content, pale yellow, revising topic revision, like pale, darker yellow, and TT revision method, revision based around the exams in this orange. And obviously at the end of where you are right now, you've probably got AS mocks. You're going to be revising, practicing using the AS papers here. What my little mistake is here, most of you, I would assume all of you, will probably, as soon as your AS mocks are finished, you're going to go back to school in June, or you'll carry on being at school, and you'll start the A-level content here in June. Yeah. My mistake here is that I don't have July. I skipped July off. And so maybe you want to take a little bit of a break.
Or August.
Sorry?
August.
July and August. Yeah, so really I need to patch those on, to be honest, because as we've said, that if you've got 53 weeks to your exam and 25% of your time until the exam is between now and September, then you don't want to waste that time. Now, and we're not saying you're going to be working 12 hours a day, nose to the grindstone. It's not going to be like that, but it is important to utilize that time so that you don't go back into September with an empty head and then you're behind. You want to be
we'll be doing
if you are 9 out of 10, if you're 10 out of 10 committed to getting your target grade, this is what we need to do. And then
with you in the lessons, which are once a week.
You'll notice this darker line here, this thicker line here, is that we want to complete our first run through of the content as soon as possible. In reality, we say by the end of March, you want to have finished this pale yellow. You want to have completed your year 13 content by the end of March. Now, this might mean you have to move ahead of school or college. Your teacher might be planning to finish in May. Find out from your teachers, when does your scheme of work have us finishing the spec? Oh, the last week of May, before May half term.
No, thank you.
In which case, you can use TT to get ahead and you can study independently, because it's really important we have this 3-month window dedicated to past paper practice. This is essential.
I think just to kind of back up what you're saying there, Rich, you get a lot of students who actually feel like they're passengers in their own A-level. You know, I go to school and my teacher dictates what I do and when I do it. And that's great if you've got a great teacher. But of course, you know, I've seen, you know, 8s, 9s, 10s. It's how committed I am to get in that top grade, to get into the university I want to get to. And you know, you want to reflect that in your actions as well. And that's taking ownership of your own A-level is so important, you know, whether that's with us, whether that's, you know, doing other things, that's fine. But do take ownership. And I think that ownership really starts now in this summer for you. And that's what we're going to try and help you do, is to take control of your own A-levels and to give you the confidence and the wherewithal to actually, you know, put together a kind of your own scheme of work, if you like, for the summer, based on consolidation of what you've already done, and obviously building towards and getting a head start on what it is you're doing next year. So
how do you all feel about the idea of learning stuff using the time between now and September? Do you feel like up for it, or do you feel,
or is it a bit of a two fingers, like, screw you guys? I'm like 10 out of 10 committed, but not during the summer holidays.
Yeah. And this is important, because what we're going to put on depends on how you're feeling about whether that's something that you would want. If you're really up for it, then we're really up for it, and we can plan it and jump in and, you know, get going with you straight away. But we don't want to make you feel like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. We're not hard taskmasters, you know. We're all about being efficient with time, you know. So it's like working smarter, not harder, studying smarter, not harder, I should say. So, you know, that's the way.
Everybody who is
brilliant
up for it. So that is our plan then. We're going to
fantastic
work with you over the next few weeks. And like Rich said, always with that vision at the end, which is the exam in 52 weeks time. That's what we're going towards.
I'm just going to finish this off. So next year, you'll notice there's none of this sort of darker yellow. We're not going to suggest that you do classical topic revision. Now, we do want to be revising some of our AS topics, and towards the end of the A-level, revising some of our early A-level topics, but we can do that by using the TT revision method and papers. So this is really good, because it's like multi-topic revision. Exam papers are not topic by topic by topic by topic. And so by using the AS papers, you're going to get all these multi-topic questions that is going to keep you sharp. You might reach a question, I don't remember this at all. That's okay. Well, what are you going to do next as your revision? You are going to go back and you can tidy up that topic. So it's just a really neat and tidy way of structuring your time so that you keep your AS knowledge fresh and sharp, and you're getting your exam practice and your exam technique. It's building everything all at once. What most students do is just do topic. They don't finish the content till the end of May. And now they're in panic stations because their exam technique's not very good. Their AS content knowledge isn't very good. They've forgotten the stuff that they did at the beginning of year 13. And it's too much. It's like, I can't do it all for all 3 subjects with my exam starting next week. And then it's very stressful. And like that, it doesn't have to be that way. For
them, they would like time machine now so that we could go back to 12 months ago, but you've actually done it. You've done the time machine, and it is 12 months ago, and we do still have 12 months, and we're really excited to be working with you. Are there any sort of burning questions or concerns you have about the transition? It can be specific subjects as well, if you've got any questions about what it's going to be like or how much harder it is. Actually, I swear you've hated maths for years and still been doing maths.
That's not really a question.
If you haven't learned a method, or you get basically 99% of the time maths is awful, I do agree, but it's worth it for that 1%.
You got some maths fans in there as well, Ron,
and it's the best.
How big's the jump?
How big is the jump from year 12 to year 13? That is a really good question. I don't know the difference for biology and chemistry. I would say that it is a bigger jump. And this might be a bit scary, but it's a bigger jump than from GCSE to AS. It's a bigger jump because at the beginning of AS, there is some sort of like indices, surds, graph transformations, like there are bits that overlap. Whereas what you're going to find next week, if your school is good and starts teaching in September, certainly, is that it just pushes on. They're just going to go forward and go topic, topic, topic. And unlike the GCSE that you had, well, you didn't take the exams, but you had time to sort of consolidate it, finish the course, and then go into your A level, and that AS started quite gently. It's going to build on the AS quickly. So if your AS foundations are wobbly, if you're not very good at trig equations, or your algebraic manipulation isn't very good, you get confused with indices or fractions if there's a lot going on in the equation, that's going to suddenly become a really big deal when you step it up.
Yeah. So for chem, very similar, actually. I wouldn't say there is a bigger jump between AS and A level as there is for maths by the sounds of it. It's just, it's more of the same. What you'll find, as Ronnie was saying in maths, what is also true is that there's a lot of foundational material in AS that is going to get built on next year. Okay, so I'll give you 5 quick examples of that.
I just thought of an example for maths that's a good example.
Oh, there you go. Do you want to do that before I go?
Okay, so AS, you got sine and cos and tan, and you have to learn that sine squared is 1 minus cos squared, and cos squared is 1 minus sine squared, and sine over cos is tan. That's what you have to learn, right? Not too bad, sine, cos, tan. In the second year, you have sine, cos, tan, sec, cosec, cot, arc sine, arc tan, arc cot. And you have to learn 13 different identities connecting sine, cos, tan, sec, cosec, cot, arc tan, arc cot. And you have to be able to draw all their graphs and all the transformations. So that's an example of something where at AS, it feels like it's quite a hard topic, and then suddenly it explodes at A level. Differentiation and integration are the same.
Oh, I thought we were going to have to hit the factory reset button on you there, Ronnie. I thought you'd lost it. Yeah, so for chemistry, it's largely the same. Like, for example, redox. You've done redox this year. You learned how to, what oxidation numbers are. You learned how to identify oxidation numbers. You've learned reducing and oxidizing agents. That basically is the same thing, but on steroids next year. Into electrochemistry and stuff like that. So I'm going to be going through these over the next few weeks for you guys in the live classes, which start next week. But essentially, the big 5 from AS to A level are enthalpy. Make sure you got that down. Redox. I've written them down. Equilibria and KC, because that's going to come back in a big way. Equilibria is everywhere. And periodicity, so knowing your tests and your trends in the periodic table, very much foundational. And lastly, the organic chemistry, because in chemistry,
everyone finds that hard, don't they?
Oh, it's just that's the area of chemistry where there's the most content to learn. And I've got tips and tricks to help you do that using spaced repetition, using my cheat sheet that I've built in the course. Anybody found the organic chemistry cheat sheet already, the AS version of that? Because there's an A-level version of that, which is basically everything put together on one A4 piece of paper. And to look at, it's very scary. But actually, we break it down. We use spaced repetition with it, and it makes life a lot easier. So those 5 things: enthalpy, redox, equilibria, periodicity, and organic chemistry. So what we'll be doing in chemistry over the next few weeks is consolidating those massively important topics and I'll be showing you how they kind of intertwine, and we'll be moving on into some A-level stuff as well. So, there's no nasty surprises when you get there. But in terms of difficulty, it's probably about the same, I'll be honest with you. Okay, it's just a bit more content compared to AS, but it's nothing I can't help you deal with.
For biology, I would say the jump from GCSE, how have you found the jump from GCSE to A-level, first of all? Quick question out there to you. I'd say the jump from GCSE to A-level or to AS is probably bigger than the jump from AS to A-level, but there are some caveats to that. The A-level exams are significantly harder than the AS exams. The way that they're examined, there is less factual recall. At AS, you can get away with a lot more just regurgitating facts. There's a heavier emphasis on factual recall A01 in the exam. In the A level, as Rich was saying, chemistry, it's all built upon the AS. So if you're you can get away with regurgitating facts to understand that get through the AS exam. When you get to the A level exam, it's much more, well, explain what would happen if this changed. And it's like, wow, okay, so I have to understand if that doesn't happen, then this doesn't happen. We'll have more of this and the acidity will change. That's going to change this protein. It's like this big interlocking machine, and you can't regurgitate facts anymore. So they explore your knowledge much more deeply in the A-level exams. So I wouldn't say the content is dramatically more difficult, but if you haven't done the groundwork and you don't quite get some of the principles, it's much more challenging to get marks in the exam. So 6 and 2 3s in biology, I would say there. But there's no major complexity step up or volume of work step up, I wouldn't say. But if you don't get it in the first place, it's challenging for next year.
So over the next 6 weeks, Richard, you're going to be going over the foundational stuff from like Rich.
Yeah, those core topics in biology, proteins and enzymes everywhere. Transport across membranes, how things move around mechanically is everywhere. Lots of sort of free or cheap marks you get on those sorts of things because those questions are very repetitive year on year. You just have to be able to recognize the question. The apparatus and techniques, people freak out about the practicals. There's not actually that much to do with the practicals, but there's sort of the underlying stuff, the how to use the apparatus, not necessarily how to use it, but when is it appropriate to use what, and what do the results mean from those things. Very often overlooked, which actually forms a much bigger part of the exams, and the math skills, which is a relatively small part of the spec, but a very high proportion of the marks. So it's very good value in terms of time spent for marks gained. And biology students that don't do maths A level, often, like me, I'm not a natural mathematician, and it's something you like, it's a little bit icky and you kind of put it off and you ignore it and you don't want to do it, but it's 10% of every minimum of 10% of every paper. So if you get, and you can practice them to the point where it's like, oh, I'm boss at this now. Like I can do a percentage change question, no matter how they ask it. I know that I can do a percentage change question and I know that I'm going to get those marks. So you can turn a weakness into a strength, but it does take practice. That building maths is a skill. It's not knowledge. So you need to do that through practice rather than through just absorption of, flashcards are not necessarily going to help you with percentage change questions. You have to practice a bunch of them, get a load of them wrong, and go on that journey of like, and with TT, we're always going to go from the most common skills down to the least common skills. Percentage change on every exam every year, full stop, no questions asked. Like orders of magnitude probably comes up 1 year in 5. So you just, if you're going to be weak at one of those math skills, let it be one of the ones that is very rare.
Any other questions before we wrap up?
Well, let's wrap up probably with the most exciting thing. Who'd like 100 quid? Anyone want 100 quid?
More importantly, one-to-ones with us.
Okay, what would you prefer? Now, it's not an either or, but which
okay.
would you prefer? Which would you have gone, Ronnie, then? Phrase the question.
Well, we were debating whether to say, would you like some money off, or whether to give you some one-to-one time with us, and we decided that because you're so special to us, we would do both. So this is obviously we can't do private tuition for every TT student because there aren't enough hours in the day. So this is very much a special offer that we are going to use until we decide that's enough, we can't do any more, and then it will be taken off the table. So
yeah, we're not gonna
it's
offer
not,
this
yeah, it's not going to be
infinitely.
part of the whole thing. We really wanted to think, what is a really effective way for us to work with you starting now, so that this time next year you are so confident of that top grade, so confident. And I think even though the comment system is really good that you can communicate with us and ask questions and stuff, sometimes I think a one-to-one is really helpful to understand where you're feeling, you know, how you're feeling, where you're coming from, and where your baseline is and where you want to go and why.
So let me just summarize, and if you've got questions afterwards, then just let me know. Essentially, it's a 12-month TT membership, so it will cover you. You won't have a subscription anymore. You can just pay, and it will cover you until after your exams end next year. So regular TT, full fat membership as always. Plus, you have 4 one-to-one sessions with us. That'll be 1 per term. So 1 over the summer, 1 in the first term, then between Christmas and February, and then between February and April. So like 1 per term, you can do a one-to-one with us and ask us questions. In that time, we can work on a specific problem. We can work on a specific revision plan. We can give you structure and advice. Essentially, it's your session. We'll probably do a little sort of intake form for each one to get an idea of where you're at and what you'd like to do, so we can use that time really effectively. On top of that, you're going to get June free. So basically, this is only going to be available for the next few weeks or so. So you'll pay for 12 months, and any time you have ahead of 12 months is just gratis. So that basically you're getting an extra free month, or whatever it'll be, 3 weeks or so for June next year. And right now we're going to just do £100 coupon to make it £100 cheaper. So you save £100 all rolled into the bargain.
So for now, there's a button underneath the button that you click to join.
Let me do this, Ronnie. I think it will be more effective to just, this is on the biology TT Lives page, but whichever subject you're in, you can click on the TT Lives page and you'll come here, and then you will see, in fact, I probably just need to share my desktop rather than sharing. I've got loads of, so that when I click on this, you can actually see. All you have to do is throw your name in here and just say, I'm interested. You're not signing up to anything. There's no commitment here. We will put together this into a bit more of a comprehensive, you're probably gonna have to speak to your parents as well, because it is essentially, it's a 12-month membership. So it will be quite expensive, but it's going to be obviously cheaper than staying subscribed. You get the £100 off, you get June free. Plus, I think more than anything, you get those 4, I mean, honestly, these are going to be like, we don't sell them individually. We have talked about that as a TT team, but they would be £100 each. At least. So that's like £400 worth of one-to-one sessions, plus the £100 coupon, plus June free. It's a big saving. If you are, I mean, this is all about getting your target grade next year. If you want us to support you every single step of the way, like we will
anyway.
Well, we do, but it's much easier if we have those check-ins with you. We're going to know who you are, and we're going to be able to support you essentially along that journey so much better. When we're answering your questions, we're going to know your situation better. We're going to be able to be like, oh, okay, so this is our general advice, but I know that in your situation, actually, I'd suggest you do this. And it just helps us to help you. It's like when a student sends me a question that's blank and says, help me with this question.
Yeah,
I can't really help them very much, but if I'll send it back to them and say, well, attempt it. And then I can see, have you misunderstood the question? Is it that you don't know the content? Is it that you couldn't do the skill? Is it, you know, when I see where your answer, how your answer is wrong, then I can informatively tell you how to get better. Whereas if you just give me the question, it's the more you put in, the more you get out in that respect. So
yeah, absolutely. Talking to us, giving us information is key. And that's how it works.
Who's interested? Is anyone interested in doing that? And is that tempting to you? I'd just like,
well,
and again,
click the button.
I'm not sharing my screen still, am I? I stopped. Okay, great.
No. But it's
talk to your parents and just have a think about it, and we'll keep, you know, we're going to see you every week anyway in the group tutoring in the TT Live. So we can, you know, you can ask questions about it and come back to it. It's not like, oh, special offer, it's only there for an hour. It's not that. We just thought we'd introduce it to you guys, talk to you about what you wanted for the next few weeks and for the upcoming year. And
it depends on how many subjects, how much is it? It's 12 months subscription. less the £100 and including
That's
the
June. Yeah.
4 individual sessions. So it's cheaper than being subscribed.
Yeah.
And you get extra stuff.
Yeah.
But it depends if you want 1 subject, 2 subject, or 3 subjects.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And if you choose 3 subjects,
Yes,
you'll
they do,
get
honey.
12 sessions. You'll get a session with each of us.
Yeah,
right?
honey, and the TT, you get full TT membership as if you, like you just
Yeah, it's
subscribed.
literally just instead of staying subscribed every month, you just pay in advance. But it means that because we know we've got you for that 12 months, it's really good for us we can then invest in you and you know, invest in that relationship with you and check how you individually are getting on, because there are hundreds of students that are joining TT now in May. Yeah, obviously we can help them, but their exam is next week, so we can't have that same. I can't do with a student that I meet in May the same as I can do with a student that I meet the previous June. The previous June, I can pretty much guarantee you at least an A. I can pretty much guarantee you at least an A. Whereas if I meet you next May, then obviously I can't. So it's all about just trying to get a group together that have that commitment, that we can form that relationship with and work with over the next year to make sure that you get what it is that you're aiming to get and get into the university that you want to go to.
Yeah,
But
TT
yes,
is
I mean, they
really,
do cover everything.
really unlike anything else in that respect. It's much more of a hybrid between our personal tutor and just a video textbook, which is a lot of what the other resources are essentially. So yeah, we work really hard with all the students that we have, but to basically try to get everyone their maximum grade potential.
We've gone a bit over, so we should wrap up.
Yeah, so Hanny, very quickly, yes, in short, everything that we've done is exam focused. So, you know, you've got all the content there in, I mean, basically you could probably cover the whole of A-level chemistry. So year 13, if you put your mind to it, you could probably cover that in a week if you spent, you know, like a 9 to 5-er on it. But everything is there and it's all exam board specific, and all the questions that we have in there as well to help you consolidate afterwards, they're all exam board specific. So it's everything you need to know and nothing you don't. So that's kind of one of our mantras here at TT. Before we go, do we want to do you guys want to hear what some of your year 13 counterparts, your future you, think of them as future you, would you like to hear what some advice that they give? And this is,
we asked them a couple of hours ago, we said to them, we're going to talk to the AS students, what should we tell them? And then we just let them say whatever they thought.
yeah, should we read some of those out? Rich, have you got the list there?
I do. Let me.
It's in the.
No, I've got it. I was going to screen share. It's just a text file, but it might be interesting just to do that. Let's just.
Let's just scroll through.
Yeah. Let's just,
unfiltered.
Yeah, you can see no editing, text edit. So is it big enough to read? That's the first question.
Not for my
maybe
very old eyes.
you control
plus. Oh, I can zoom in a bit there.
There we go.
Where have we got?
I can read it now if I go close to my screen.
Let me scroll down. We asked them right at the very end. Okay, it was after that. Lots of revise.
Oh yeah, here we go. It's hard to see at the moment, isn't it? Because we literally just did this session and there was over 100 people in there. So
okay, so I think it's starting from about here. So revise.
Because I remember that Lindy said quit. Yeah, a couple of them were like, leave, run away now.
Practice the exact thing, test conditions, practice dealing with going blank. One option is breathing techniques, skipping and moving on, focus more on papers, revise in the summer, do your homework, never neglect revision, papers, take it seriously, do as much as do. Thank you. Oh, thank you. That was thank you. Revise, more practice questions, stop procrastinating.
Don't fall behind.
Yeah,
take a deep breath. Work as you go
along. A lot
of
it was about getting behind and keeping up, basically, not getting behind and keeping up. So that's really what we want to focus on with you guys, is helping you to pace it over the next 52 weeks.
Yeah, lots of planning ahead for UCAS and UCAT.
We
understand the content whilst you have time.
I'll grab 30 seconds at the end on UCAS if that's all right with you guys, just to let know what's coming up.
Yeah.
Don't waste your
I literally
periods.
finished biology content last week. That's so awful. I've got 1 week to revise all of the AS stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this is, we asked them, when would you like to have started your revision? So that's a lot of this, sort of from September of year 13, start of year 13, first day of year 12, first day of year 12, beginning of year 13, very start of year 13, first day of year 12. So like definitely essentially earlier in short. Recap year 12 and get revision materials sorted. I'd say that there's a pretty strong overriding message there of like, don't waste the next.
Don't wait.
Yeah, don't wait until this time next year to start revising, which is where a lot of students are right now.
That's it. I mean, the summer is about having a break as well, kind of taking a breath, staying out of school for the next 6 weeks or college or whatever it is. But, like I said before, like we said before, we're not going to be cracking a whip all summer with you guys. That is not what we're doing here. We're just trying to best prepare you moving forwards. And that's why we're showing you what a year 13s, where their mindset is now. If they had their time again, what would they do? So I think that's very important. And one important thing in there, and a very good piece of advice, is if you are going through UCAS. Anybody doing UCAS, guys? Give me a yay or a nay if you've got to go through UCAS, yeah? Fantastic, Luca, thank you, and Hani as well. So obviously you know about UCAS, you know what you have to do in terms of your application. Obviously you got predicted grades, etc., etc. You've got to do your personal statement, how do you choose your university, so on and so forth. Well, if you haven't heard of it already, we got Unifrog. Now, whether you knew or not, I don't know. But as a TT member, you can get access to Unifrog, which is like the kind of the god of choosing universities. It's like got a ridiculous amount of information in there to help you choose. But on the 11th of July, I'm going to be running a UCAS session. Now, that's not going to be like laser targeted specific to kind of anything in particular like medicine or anything like that. I do have some advice for BMAT and UCAT and all that. But what we're going to be talking about in that session is to give you guys a head start on your UCAS. So at least you know the field of play. So like what needs to be completed and by when. I'm going to be giving out some past students tips on personal statements. I'm going to be introducing you to Unifrog if you haven't seen it already, so you can do some research over the summer. And of course, how to best choose your university. Now, the types of things that you need to consider, some things that you may not have even thought about, are going to be in my suggestions, I think, for considerations you need to make for choosing your universities. If you're doing it in form time, that's great. But of course, like you want to spend a bit of time getting as much research and work done towards your UCAS as possible during the summer, because that's a distraction. One way or the other, your work is distracting from your UCAS, and your UCAS is distracting from your work when you hit in September. So getting as much done over this summer as possible is important. So what I'm going to be doing is basically UCAS 101, talking you through the process, giving you some advice from me and from previous students as well. So please do come along to that if you can. That's the 11th of July, and we'll remind you of that nearer the time.
I think that's about it from us. If you have any other questions, you can contact us inside the course, just like any TT member can do. We'll see you very soon. Yeah, do remember to fill in that form so you can register your interest if you want to, basically have us support you every single step of the way.
See you soon.
Brilliant. Guys, see you next week.